What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, man, Steve. Back at it with another review. And yesterday I was able to check out Last Breath in theaters. But before you get sexual, beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel because I'm on absolutely free. Nobody else may be able to YouTube algorithm recommend the video to more people and maybe they could join. And feel free to comment your thoughts on Last Breath down below. But with that being said, guys, let's get right into before we get right into let's give a quick plot synopsis of the movie, shall we? So transition and choose. Yeah.
The true story of seasoned deep-sea divers who battle the raging elements to rescue a crewmate who's trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface.
Alright, so Last Breath is based off a true story of, as you heard me with the plot synopsis earlier, a diver ends up getting lost on a mission to basically repair these oil plants, and the crew are trying to get him back at any chance they get. So, and going into this one, I was expecting to, I was going like, yeah, I'm probably gonna like that. I don't know if I'll love it, because from the trailers, it did look very reminiscent of other films such as Deepwater Horizon, The Finest Hours, and all those sorts of movies where it's based on a true story where they're trying to survive something or other. So, and ironically, it mostly looked really similar to Deepwater Horizon because it is near an oil rig. But with that being said, let's just see what I think of it. So, alright, so starting off with the good here, we always start off with the good here for our movie reviews, and I have the performances by Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and everyone else. So, Woody Harrelson and Simu Liu were probably the two main actors that, like, kind of hooked me onto this project, going like, okay, yeah, I'll probably enjoy this one, and they are really, really good here. I also want to shout out the main actor in here,
Finn Cole as the main character, Chris Lemon's in here, and he does a really good job at selling these very intense underwater sequences, and you definitely want him to escape, and he achieves that sympathy for his character.
Another thing I gotta give this movie credit for is the suspenseful underwater sequences. I found, even though we'll get to this a little later on in the review, it not spoiling anything, but you pretty much know where the movie's gonna end, even if you haven't heard the actual story before. But the sequences themselves still get your heart rate up and go like, oh no, I want these characters to live, or will they live, or will they not live? Like, it brings you to that in your head. So it did a good job with that, with those sequences. Another positive in here, I thought the relationship between the main character and his wife also was built strongly throughout the film, with our particular diver that ends up going missing. I thought adding that added like a little more depth to his survival, where she's the reason he wants to go get out of there, basically. So that's another positive for the movie. And the final positive of the movie is the ending. I think it did wrap things up quite well. Alright, so that's the good done. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects. The parts where I'm 50-50 on them. And the first one, the big one of the mixed aspects I have, is the dynamic between the three main characters in this film, with Simu Liu's character, Woody Harrelson's character, and the other actor's character. I forgot what his name was. But the dynamic between them three is strong. However, this movie is, well, this brings me to another mixed aspect I have that kind of goes along with this, is the movie's length. Don't get me wrong, it's quite a short movie. It's like an hour and a half, which we're lucky to get an hour and a half movie nowadays, because most of them are very... We usually get like 2.5 hour movies, 3 hours movies, and 3.5 hour movies, which is just ridiculous at this point. So it is kind of cool to get an hour and 30-minute movie. However, I feel they could have added at least maybe 10 more minutes to help develop the relationship a little bit better, because at the start of the movie with their relationship, Woody Harrelson's character and the main character are obviously very, very close, but Simu Liu is a new diver there. And I thought they could have maybe added like 10 more minutes there before the eventual deep sea exploration, where they could have developed their relationships there instead, and added a little depth there. And that would have probably even made the we'll stop there. Okay. Anyways, but yes, I wish they could have helped develop the dynamic between them three a little bit better, but it was still solid dynamic overall, I think. All right, now we move on to the bad, and I mentioned it before with Deepwater Horizon: The Finest Hours, the familiarity of other films such as those two that I just named. Especially Deepwater Horizon, with this ironically being
right near an oil plant, so but this time being underwater, and it has those very same intense sequences as Deepwater Horizon.
Another thing that I mentioned before as well, the predictableness. This movie is quite predictable, even if you haven't ever heard the story before, so yeah, I'm not going to talk about that too long because I already talked about it earlier on in this video. This one, this might be just my theater. It might be a little better lit, be a little bit better lit with other theaters. I don't know. But I think, don't get me wrong, the underwater sequences are very tense, but I feel some of them are really, really dark. Physically, I mean, like, it's very hard to see because of how deep the water is and you can't really see anything, which probably is accurate to what it was like in real life. However, it was very, very dark. I could barely see anything, and I wish they could have maybe added a little tiny bit more lighting in that sequence. And as for the final negative in here, and this has been a little common trend with some of my movie reviews, and it is a little slow in between.
Particularly when they're trying to find out how to save him and do so safely.
But other than that, that is just my thoughts on Last Breath. Now, with that being said, let's just bring out the Toxic meter. And I'll give this a Toxic Goodness B-.
Yeah.
It was a solid movie. And I think it is, I think it would be even better to see this in like Dolby or IMAX in theaters with the surrounding sound. I think that could be really, really good. But other than that, yeah, decent. But it's just very reminiscent of other things. But with that being said, as I said before, that is just my thoughts on Last Breath. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the film down below. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Oh, peace.